All right, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to address note taking. Um, Cornell Notes is something that is used extensively throughout SciTech English. Um, I've been told that they are going to be putting it more substantially throughout, and it's a really great tool. Here's the difficulty, though. Cornell Notes are an extremely useful tool for people who are pretty comfortable with taking notes. For people who are not extremely comfortable in taking notes, it's not uncommon to try so hard to put information into the Cornell format that a student loses the purpose of note taking. And the purpose of note taking is to take information um, and organize it on a page, notes, in such a way that you understand it better. That's the purpose of note taking. That's our purpose of note taking. Um, so, like I said, Cornell notes are useful. But for anybody who is, you've probably taken notes before, but for whom you think note taking is useless, I never feel like I learn anything better as a result of note taking. That means you haven't learned how to make note taking personal. You haven't learned how to take what you write down and manipulate it, organize it, add the right information in such a way that you understand it better. Um, and so I wanted to go ahead and cover a different way of taking notes. As somebody who struggled for a long time to make note taking his own, I wanted to show you a different way of doing it. Okay? So, um, here's a hypothetical. In the future, you're going to have a number of situations where you're going to be asked to take notes. They're usually going to give you a Cornell Notes blank, a template for you to put the notes on. I want to empower you right now. You do not have to take notes in the Cornell format. You have to take notes. But you don't have to use the Cornell format. So, when you see an assignment like this, and it says Cornell Notes, if you've watched this and you want to try a different way, please feel free to use it. But let me show you what I mean. So, in an assignment like this, this is where you're learning about narrative and plot, about stories, and then down here there is a tutorial. It's going to walk you through and give you a lot of important terms and what they mean. Okay, and they're going to try and show how they're connected and all that fun stuff. What often happens in notes is I will get students who, like I said, don't fully understand it, and so they will go ahead, they'll write down terms like this, and then they'll even go ahead and write down the definitions. And call these notes. Now, don't get me wrong, these are not bad, they're not untrue, they're not incorrect. However, I've known a lot of people who can tell me what an antagonist is and what setting is. Some can even tell me what theme is. But this does not show how they're all related, how they're all connected, and how they interact with each other. And so the understanding is not very complete. So I'm going to show you a different way of doing things here. So I start out where I have, these terms, I have their definitions, and I just want to show you some of the ways that I can better understand using note-taking this particular topic. So I'm looking at plot, what plot is, what are the parts of a plot, and how they all fit together. And one of the things I noticed when I was looking through this is that of all of these terms, some of them go together themselves, whereas other ones just seem to be related to plot. Like they don't seem to have anything to do with the other ones except that the fact that they're related to plot. So I'm going to show you what that could look like in this type of note-taking called mapping. It's also called mind mapping or clustering. So at the center I have plot, because that's what this is all about. Boom, that's the core. And coming off of that center, I have the first thing that is connected to plot. So I go ahead and I write setting. Okay? Now, when you get more comfortable with this, I know how it's presented here. It looks like I have two different sets of notes. I don't do these separately. Okay? I'm simply trying to show you. Here's what some students call note-taking, and I'm trying to show you there's a better way. There's a more thorough way. Because right off to the side here, I can, if I want, I can add the definition. I can go ahead and write down that this is copy the time and the place where a story happens. I can add that there if I want to. Okay. Now I'm going back to the original. So I'm talking about plot and how these all are interconnected. So setting is absolutely connected to plot. It is the time and place that a story takes place. Well, how about protagonist, right? Protagonist is the main character, the guy who experiences the conflict. I don't really see that as directly tied to setting. I mean, the protagonist is in the setting, sure, but it's a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and just have setting come off of plot. I'm going to have protagonist come off of plot again, okay? And then I notice that antagonist, the way it's set up with the definitions, they tell me that antagonist, even though it's a totally different character, in a story, an antagonist's purpose is to cause problems for the protagonist. So that's directly connected to the protagonist. So I'm going to write antagonist and have it be directly related to the protagonist. So look at that. So I got setting off on one side, it's kind of separate, and then I got protagonist, antagonist off on their sides. And given the fact that I already know a little bit about the definitions, seeing these relationships are now helping me understand better. Now I look at the next few, and all of these guys seem to go together. Okay, they not only go together, but they seem to happen in order. So this part's going to be easy. So I go like this. I go initial incident. I go conflict. I go climax. And I go resolution. Resolution. Because all of those are connected, and they come one after another. That's the way they are organized in a story. Okay? Now I'm left with one more. Theme. The writer's main message about life. Okay? Now that is absolutely tied to plot. Okay? So I can have that just come off as its own thing. However, here's part of the difficulty. The theme comes out of the plot. So I'm going to show you kind of a different thing here. And this is why this is useful. You have to think. It doesn't always come out and present itself. You have to make meaning where sometimes meaning isn't there. So I'm going to put a root node here. And I'm going to write theme. And then I'm going to go ahead and I want to move it. Oh, well, now I can't figure out how to move it. Okay, I'll move it later. But I am going to do this. I'm going to select it. And I'm going to show that the theme comes directly from the protagonist. The theme comes directly from the resolution. Oops, got to hit that one again, I guess. Directly from the resolution. And I know that it might come from the setting, but that's not necessarily true. I'm not positive about that. So I'm not going to put the connection between theme and setting. Okay? But what this does here is this shows me that while you have these different pieces sort of off in their own little corners, this shows me how they're all related and how they all come back to be a part of plot. And this one helps me understand a little bit better. Whereas for some people, the Cornell notes might not have been as useful. All right? There's a lot of other great applications for this type of note-taking. I'll show you some more later on. But I wanted to make sure that you were aware, not only that you are not tied to the Cornell notes format, but for those of you who haven't done this other type of note-taking, I wanted you to see that it's there. Oh, by the way, I'm sitting here doing this on a computer with a software. You can just as easily do this on paper by hand, just drawing circles and arrows and things like that. And then what you would upload for your notes is, if you already have the app on your phone, you just open up the assignment and take a picture of it. Otherwise, you take a picture of it and then you can upload that file to your assignment in Schoology. All right, I hope this was helpful. Happy note-taking.